Let's explore the basic shapes in Illustrator that we can use for so many things. They're really handy as well for construction, as you'll find out later on. If you would tap M on your keyboard, then you'll see that the tool highlights in the toolbox, and you might also notice it has a tiny little marker just off to the lower right hand edge. And what that indicates is it's nested with other tools like a little family. And if you long press on that icon, you get to see all of them. And better still, if you drag over to the right hand edge and see that bar that lights up and release at that point, then it gives you a little tool tray like so to work with. So we'll explore these four tools: the rectangle, ellipse, polygon, and star. We'll start off by simply clicking, because all four of those tools have this behavior. If you've got something numerically in mind, you can enter those values in there. And the values, by the way, are based on the last drawn object, just so you know. That information can be somewhat useful. If I cancel out of that and do the same with the ellipse, you can see there's pretty much no differentiation between those two things in terms of dialogue. Width and height is all they have. The polygon, however, has a number of sides and a radius, because all polygons are drawn from the center outwards. And the star is yet different again, because it has two radius 1 and radius 2, and then a number of points. But I dare say that most of us will draw by dragging. So I've drawn this set of little targets here just to help. And what I'd also like you to do if you're playing along is to tap D on your keyboard. Just have a quick look down at the toolbox and see if you've got a solid square in front of a hollow square, like so. And if you have, just hit the slash key on your keyboard and that will take the fill away. If not, just click on whichever to bring it up to the front, like so. Okay. So what we're going to do then is just mouse down and drag like so. And of course you can see that you've got a rectangle coming away from there like so. I'll just delete that. This time I'll repeat that operation, only holding down Shift. And what the Shift key does with the rectangle and the ellipse tool is it constrains it to a regular shape. And if you release the mouse button before you release the Shift key, then you'll end up, in this case, with a square. I'll delete that one also. Now, another key that you can use here is the Alt or Option key. If I hold my Option key down now and start to draw, you can see what I'm actually doing is drawing from the center. And holding down the Shift key as well gives me a constrained shape drawn from the center. And I'll release the mouse button and then release those two keys. Now, I'm not going to show you the ellipse tool because it's exactly the same, only with fewer corners, of course, and we'll jump straight across to the polygon, which, as I indicated earlier, draws from the center outwards. So if I start to draw like so, you can see there's a number of sides on it. The default is a hexagon, but I can use the arrow keys to change that. I can go down as far as 3 sides, because beyond that it starts to look suspiciously like a line, and I can just increase as necessary. Now, don't worry if you make a mistake and you draw it with the wrong number of sides, because if I release here now, you'll see that somewhere on one of the edges, okay, you've got this widget, and that allows you to change the number of sides. And you can go between 3 and 11. Although if you want to go beyond that, what you'll need to do is delete the shape and actually click to enter the value there. And then the star tool finally. So what I'll do here is I've got another grid for the star tool, which also draws from the center outwards. And if I just click and drag out like so, you can see how those two radius kind of work, although they're not meeting it exactly here because this is dead regular. You've got one radius on the outside and another one on the inside, okay, that the two sets of points for the inner and the outer radius are placed along. If I want to use the keyboard with this, what I can do is the up and down arrow keys, okay, will change the number of star points. And holding down the Command key or the Control key on Windows locks the inner radius like so. So you can make your star points longer or shorter as desired. Now, there's no reset for this particular tool, which is somewhat frustrating because sometimes, especially when you're getting started with this, you might inadvertently draw something really small. If I just delete this particular shape just for a second, if I get rid of that, okay, and I'll hold down the Command key, but then suddenly draw something really small like that, okay, and then you try and get out of that and it makes it worse because you're trying to hold down the key and it just folds over itself like so. Trust me, it's a well-known little problem. So how do you solve it? Well, here's the answer. What you do is with the star tool, you simply click, set the number of sides to 5, hit OK, and just delete the star that comes from there. And then hold down Control and Alt or Command and Option once you started drawing, and there you go. It will reset that like so. Do have a play with it for a bit because there's a bit of a knack to working with stars, but they are a very useful thing to have because they're the beginning for many, many other things, even if they're not going to be stars on their own. But you're a star.